we
Yeah,
are.
I got the mic turned over my.
Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how you doing tonight?
Good. That was a very, very exciting game. That was a thrilling hockey game. Of course, the anticlimax of the shootout loss to the Colorado Avalanche, but 2-1 loss. But it could, goes to the shootout. Could have gone to either team. Looked like it was going to go to the Oilers in the overtime, but not to be. Bruce, what did you think of the game?
Playoff hockey, really. It was, very high intensity, back and forth, some heavy hitting going on, a little bit of dirty stuff. Refs letting everything go until late, and stellar first-class goaltending at both ends of the sheet. Or this would have been a lot higher scoring game than 1-1, which is what we saw at the end of 65 minutes with, of course, Colorado coming out in the shootout with the only goal to beat either of the two hot goaltenders in the skills competition.
That was some shootout goal by McKinnon too. Like I had to watch it a couple times to see how it went in. It was so fast. What a backhand move that was. Yeah, they have some skill. Like it's the only team that has superstars to rival the Oilers, like McCarr and McKinnon, rival McDavid and Draisaitl, I think. All due respect to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And Rantanen, don't sell that guy short either, man.
Oh God, yeah, and Landeskog didn't play, and Kadri didn't play. That's a bad matchup for the playoffs for the Oilers. For anybody, but I think for the Oilers, I think it'll take a plot, like a physical team to beat the Avs. And I think you're going to beat them in a track meet, and that's what the Oilers do best. So, yeah. So the grade A shots actually were 20-15 for the Oilers, mainly because of overtime. When in the OT it was 7-0. So, in terms of 5 alarm shots, though, it was equal 10 each. So let's do our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. Bruce, what is your good thing?
Oh boy, so many good things about that game. I guess I'm going to whip out and say the quality of the hockey game was a good thing. I mean, that was 2 top NHL teams just hammering away at each other for 65 minutes. With goaltending, as mentioned earlier. But I mean, that was a thrilling, energizing kind of game to watch. And, no holds barred and no, no quarter given. I mean, in the first period alone, one sequence that caught my eye, which nearly got singled out as my good thing, was how Leon Draisaitl early in the game, he got taken down hard by who was the Colorado defenseman who drilled him with Josh Manson. Drilled him about 30 feet away from the puck with a big high overhand takedown, and somehow both refs missed that one. And then Leon went in on a breakaway, got robbed by Kemper, go figure. And Cale Makar got a stick in and tripped Leon into the boards, and that wasn't a penalty. So Leon decided to take the law into his own hands. So, well, no penalties then. I guess I'm going to throw my weight around a little bit. And he absolutely matched Andrei Burakovsky with a reverse hit. Shiver me timbers. Just blew him away. The puck came around. Burakovsky tried to check Leon, said, how about I check you instead? Put him on his ass. And then he crushed Andrew Cogliano seconds before the end of the first period with another heavy hit. And that was, I think we got a little glimpse of the playoff Leon through much of this game. But not just him, hardly just him. It was a real strong effort by across the lineup, I thought. And credit both teams. I mean, Colorado played in Winnipeg last night. And they played an overtime game in Winnipeg, and they came back to play another overtime game in Edmonton next night, found a way to win both. So they're a powerhouse. And Edmonton, I mean, you say the matchup isn't good. Well, that's 2 games this year, and one was 2-2 and one was 1-1. The Oilers were right there with them in both games.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. But another guy I think we saw a little bit of his playoff game was Fogel.
Yeah, he was
I
good.
think we're going to like him in the playoffs. He's a rugged player. He's starting to score after being snake bitten. Talk about snake bitten. Yes, Puliarvi, like find
Oh,
that snake and hack it to death because
5 shots tonight, and at least
five
3 of them were potentially
alarms.
goals. Yeah, a great
Yeah,
deflection and 2 wicked setups by McDavid. And yes, of both times he did the right thing. He fired right away. He got the puck hard on the net and up. But what he didn't do was put it in the short side. He drilled it into the middle of the net. Both times Kemper just swung out of nowhere and its left arm. I think both times got a piece of the shot and kept
shoulder.
it a
Yeah,
shoulder on one, and it rippled his arm pad on the second one. And that was just a minute or so before Colorado tied it up. It would have been a dagger of a goal. And he just
yeah. You
can't
know,
buy one.
yeah. Those were two really good shots, so I don't want to criticize him too much. Although I got the feeling like if it was an elite sniper, they would have scored on one of those two shots. Like if it was Rantanen taking those shots or Draisaitl taking those shots, he would have drained one of them because they would have placed him a
Oh,
little bit better. But he really did get off. He raised them both. He got them off fast. They were hard shots, so it's not much to complain about. Great saves by the goalie. You know the skill
yes.
level, Bruce. Watching that game, it's like it's almost unreal the amount of ability and skill the players have. Just to pick pucks off these pucks are being passed around so fast, 70 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour. I don't know how fast the passes. They're just hard passes, in traffic, and they're just picking them up easily, making plays. It's just such a level of NHL skill is just getting so high compared to the hockey that we watched, let's say in the 70s. It's just different, and even the 80s. This is just such a different level. Players like Cale McCarr and McDavid, they are unreal. It's hard to imagine the plays they make, how people can do these things, but they make them all the time. It's just routine. And even the weaker players on the ice also make really great plays. So with the puck, so it was a fantastic skill game. One of the highest level of skills I've ever seen in a hockey game. And yeah, I agree with you on that Draisaitl hit. It was almost cartoonish. It was almost like it was from a superhero movie. The way that
Mm-hmm.
he hit the guy, and the guy just went flying.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Hollywood, they have the
Yeah.
cord attached to the guy, and they pull him into the wall to make the movement fast. Well, that's what it
Mm-hmm.
looked like. He just looked like he just got sent flying crazy into the wall there. My good thing, Bruce, will be Mikko Koskinen. Could be, if we were nonpartisan, it could be Darcy Kemper. They
Oh,
both were. It would Kemper probably in the end outplayed Koskinen, which is saying a ton because Mikko Koskinen was so good in that game. He looked as good as he's looked all year long in
mm-hmm.
the nets. He looked fantastic. He looked like the Koskinen that we have seen in the past, who's on his game sharp, and they're not beating him. The one goal that did beat him was kind of a weird rebound in front of the net from a point shot that went, flying over to the side, and that's going to happen now. And then you're going to
McKinnon did.
go ahead. Oh, you're frozen. It's not a good sign. Um, yeah, so that was just an incredible play by. Or it was a fluky play. All right, Bruce, what I'm gonna do is just stop this and we'll pick it up in a second here because I don't see you coming back. Back. Some technical difficulties there. Bruce, do you got a bad thing, or do you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, you go first. I'm sort of getting recombobulated. My computer died.
My bad thing could be Nuge not scoring it over on the power play at overtime, but I won't go with that. That's a great save by Kemper. The Oilers did have some defensive breakdowns, and one in particular kind of got my dander up. Happens late in the first period, and it actually leads to 3 grade A shots, 2 of them 5 alarm shots in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with Evander Kane making a turnover in the offensive zone, and this leads to a rush in. or maybe it's the neutral zone in the middle. It leads to a rush where he has a chance to get back, and he's just, instead of getting back on the play, he's just way out of the play. So not only does he make the turnover, but on the back check, he's completely out to lunch. And Kulak's also involved in the problem. The puck gets shot up to a player who Kulak's covering, and then there's a pass there. But Kane has been a very good offensive hockey player for the Oilers. He has been a great physical player, Bruce, but his defense has not been great. His defense has been okay-ish. And there's been some lapses. And this isn't uncommon with offensive players, but you can't have it with the Oilers' offensive players. If they want to win in the playoffs, they can't have that. So this is another example. We've been pointing them out in the last few games where an offensive player, a couple mental errors, and leads to 3 really great chances against the Oilers. Puck gets taken right to the slot, and they're just pounding away down there. So you cannot have that. He's got to do better than that. So that's my bad thing.
Yeah, that pass across the blue line to nobody was just inviting trouble. The way Colorado counterattacks. I mean, he's firing across to the left wing. Well, memo to Kane, you're the left winger. So if you're out of position, firing over there, I mean, it was just I guess a prayer pass, and the prayer was only answered when Koskinen made the stops at the other end of the ice to keep the clean sheet. So.
What's your bad thing, Bruce?
Yeah, not too many bad things really from this game. It was, I mean, playing the best team in the league, you're going to get beat sometimes. And I guess I will go with the play where they did get beat for the 1-1 with 5:07 to go in the third, just after the last TV timeout. And it was actually a one face-off by Draisaitl into the corner. And Nurse popped back into the corner, and he was trying to chip it around to Ceci off his backhand. And big bad Mikko Rantanen came in and aggressively lifted Nurse's stick just as he was trying to make that play. And all of a sudden, Rantanen had the puck when he worked it back to the point. And from there, Edmonton was kind of reeling because they were, Yamamoto was trying to skedaddle over to the right wing boards for the pass that he thought was going to be coming from Ceci. It looked like it was going to be a breakout, and all of a sudden it's Colorado with the puck at the point. And Yamamoto scrambling to recover, Ceci scrambling to get in front of the net. The point shot comes through. I think it bounces off of, was it Nichushkin in front? Yes. Devin Taves outside shot, it hit Nichushkin and bounced right to Nathan MacKinnon of all people. And I'm not sure anybody really did anything wrong after that. Just MacKinnon made a great play to handle the puck and get it upstairs and inside the post to beat a diving Koskinen. And it was, I mean, to say Nurse made a flagrant turnover would be a mistake because let's give credit where due here. Mikko Rantanen made a terrific play there to lift Nurse's stick at the crucial split second and win possession. And it was just on such a tiny little knife edge that this game actually turned. And Nathan MacKinnon did something that neither Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl were able to do in this game, which was hit the net. And the same thing happened in the shootout where MacKinnon was the hero and the Oilers gunners weren't able to ever solve Darcy Kemper on this night. So that's my bad thing. For a while there, it looked like the Oilers might be just good enough to hang on and win this game 1-0, and it took a small breakdown and kind of a bad bounce and whatever. Colorado certainly deserved to score after hitting the post 3 times in the first period. Let's not forget that. So,
yeah, and as you pointed out, in the same spot on the post,
same right post,
same spot almost. They hit the post, bang, bang, bang. Yeah, that was a weird goal. It was an uncontested outside shot, and it was just Draisaitl was kind of handcuffed because nurses he didn't, he lost the battle, and it was a bad loss because it left the Oilers in a really tough position, because there was both a point man and someone in the high slot, and Draisaitl couldn't go cover the point because he's got to block off that pass to the guy in the high slot. So it goes to the point, and it's an uncontested shot. Hyman's kind of moved down to be F1 to cover in front of the net, and he's kind of going, but he doesn't really know where to go because who are you going to cover? Like it's not, and then it goes, the puck goes bouncing around. In some ways, the mistake by Nurse was the only real major mistake there. Everyone else just kind of was left scrambling, trying to make the best of a bad situation that just kept getting worse and worse because of bad bounces. So that was a very tough play.
Let me re-emphasize, it wasn't a bad mistake, but it had a bad outcome, and it was just a quick lost battle, and all of a sudden everything was sideways. And I wasn't thrilled with Hyman's play there. Like, he went right into the middle between the two face-off circles, and he engaged Nichushkin, but he didn't really box him out. And Nichushkin went in behind him and wound up being involved in the screen in front, and the puck hitting him and bouncing to a teammate. And Hyman just kind of stood there, and he wasn't really covering anybody or really getting anything done. So if he was F1, he was a fairly statuesque one. He was just kind of rooted in one spot and not really reacting to what was going on around him. But as you say, stuff happened fast there. It's hard to sort of say, well, he really screwed up there, but I just wasn't quite sure what he was trying to do. So often that's a clue that the guy may have screwed up.
All right, let's move to numbers, Bruce. What's your number?
Yeah, my number is 11-0. 11-0. That was the shots on net in the overtime period. Oilers had a 2-minute power play with 2:31 to go in overtime, and they threw everything, including the kitchen sink, at Darcy Kemper, and they were unable to solve the guy with a variety of great chances from in tight to the net. And they just couldn't. He was just unbeatable. He was fantastic. I mean, first of all, there was one that McDavid banked off a McKinnon's stick, and it looked like it was sure to go through and into the net. Somehow, Kemper went from not even being ready to it to completely sealing off the ice. And his ability to seal off the ice was key to maybe 4 of the saves he made later on the power play, where the Oilers tried to stuff pucks through him. Nuge had 1, if not 2 chances right inside the blue paint that he couldn't get upstairs or under or through or find any kind of hole. And both Draisaitl and McDavid were firing away with chances. And, it's hard to say the Oilers did much wrong there. The only thing they did wrong was they couldn't hit the net. And I mean, they hit the
back of the net.
They hit the back of the net. Yeah. They were hitting the net with their shots, 11 shots in 5 minutes. I mean, come on. I'd like to think one of them it's going to go in, and I'll bet you we look at the play-by-play, and you're going to find 5 or 6 of those shots were from inside 10 feet.
Well, 7
stars. So
7 grade A shots, Bruce. And on the power play, Draisaitl, McDavid, and Nugent Hopkins all had 2 grade A shots each. Like if you were to say, if there's a power play and McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nuge each get 2 grade A shots, what are the chances the Oilers are going to score? Pretty high. And Kemper was fantastic. And the Oilers, they just couldn't raise the puck in the key moments. McDavid came in, one great play where he worked his way into the slot, and he couldn't raise the puck over Kemper's pad. And then Nuge just got the pass from Draisaitl down low and deked the goalie. And then Kemper, he just couldn't raise it over Kemper's pad, his trailing pad. So fantastic goaltending. Very frustrating goaltending if you're the opposition, but that was just incredible net minding on his part. So, Bruce, my number is 4 and 6. And that's what the Oilers have in terms of points in the standings they're 4 points ahead of the Los Angeles Kings and 6 points ahead of the Vegas Golden Knights. They've all played the same number of games. So I was looking at the schedules, and Edmonton's got by far the toughest schedule remaining.
Yep.
LA has a easy breezy. I think about 7 of the last 9 games are against teams that are completely out of it and should be highly beatable teams. So They have like here's who they're playing in their games. They play the Wild and Colorado, so they've got two tough games. But they also play Chicago, Columbus, Anaheim, Chicago, Anaheim,
Jeez.
Seattle, Vancouver.
Oh,
So they're not going to win all of those games against those wacky weak teams because it doesn't work that way usually. But it sure gives them a bit of an edge here. Fortunately, there is a 4-point gap on the Kings and 6 points on Vegas. I think it's Vegas has about 5 hard games and four easier games. With the Oilers, it's probably more like 8-1 or 7-2. I guess maybe 7 hard games
yeah.
and 2 easy games. So, the Oilers are really playing well. And they have the points lead. So, fingers crossed. But it's going to be nervy, Bruce, nervy in Oilerland, oil country, till right to the end here.
Yeah, they're in the middle of a very tough stretch of 7 games in a row against very tough teams. And so far, they got 3 points from 2 games, so that's pretty good.
Yeah,
And of the two teams, if you want to beat one in regulation and lose to one in overtime, they did it in the right order. They got 2 points off LA, and LA got nothing out of that game. And what Colorado got out of this game is insignificant because they're going to beat the Oilers whether they got 0, 1, or 2 points out of this. So this was in no way a 4-point game. It was just a 2-point game for Edmonton, and they got one of those points against the best team in the league. So, you can say, well, they lost their 9-game home winning streak and their 6-game winning streak, but they still got a result out of this game. So good
yeah.
for them. They now have to go at Minnesota, at Nashville as their next Tuesday and Thursday, two
Ooh.
tough games. Home to Vegas next Saturday afternoon in a mammoth game. Then they play Dallas also at home and Colorado um, at home again Friday the 22nd, less than 2 weeks from now. And only then do they get one game at Columbus, a game at Pittsburgh. That won't be easy. And then they close up back to back against San Jose and Vancouver. And those are two opponents that, if they need those games, you'd like to think they'd be able to beat those teams. But, you know,
So
any
6 hard
game.
games and 3 easier games. So not
Yeah.
that different than Vegas, but man, these are some tough games. The
Yeah.
Wild and Nashville, those are two teams that always give the Oilers a lot of trouble. So if they can get 5 points out of the next 5 games, Bruce, against
Hmm.
these, or four, yeah, they got the 5 really tough games coming up. If they can get 5 points out of the 5 games, I think they got it. So let's hope for that. 5 for 5, 5-5.
Yeah. Well, they're close. And they got one favor tonight. New Jersey beat Dallas right in Dallas.
Yes.
So, this is after Toronto won in overtime at Dallas. So Dallas only got 1 point out of 2 home games. But losing 3-1 to New Jersey certainly was not in their plans. And the Oilers, I mean, they really just need one of the top 9 teams to
Fall apart.
to fall off, and they're in the playoffs. But I'm pretty sure most would agree you'd rather be in the top 3 in the Pacific and not have to maybe face Colorado right off the bat in the playoffs. So
Yeah. Yeah. Let's look at these wild card. What does Dallas have now then? They've got 71 games and 84 points. So they're 6 points behind the Oilers with 2 games in hand. So it's
mhm.
just hard to know where they're going to be and whether they're going to be the team that crumples here.
Well, I
It's
have one
not.
of those games against the Oilers, so
Yeah.
but it's here. They beat Edmonton twice in Dallas. That game where the Oilers had the 3-2 lead in Dallas and they lost in regulation, that still stings. If they hang on to win that game, they're almost home and cooled out now. But anyway, yeah, Dallas has got Chicago, Tampa, Minnesota, San Jose, Vancouver, Oilers, Flames, Seattle, Vegas, Arizona, Anaheim to close up. So that's a pretty light schedule with a couple of tougher games. And anyway, Oilers are just going to have to keep playing and keep getting results. The way they're playing, I mean, you know, they're doing a lot right, and they've got both their goalies going at the moment.
Amazing, Bruce. This is the
Yeah.
first time this year where you can honestly say, hey, they're getting good goaltending game after game here, and that was a welcome surprise. So we'll see how long that lasts. Let's fingers crossed. All right, let's leave it there, Bruce. Thanks for talking tonight.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.